All right, what is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always, and today I have the luxury of being joined by my best friend, probably my only friend, Blake Schneiders, and we're going to preview the Kansas City Chiefs and Cincinnati Bengals upcoming matchup in the AFC Championship game. So, Blake, I haven't talked to you since the last time the Chiefs played, at least that got recorded. So the Chiefs were able to miraculously come out of this divisional round game against the Bills with 13 seconds left. They tied the game, went into overtime. They won in overtime. And that's kind of been the main topic of conversation all week long. You know, we kind of thought that that was our AFC Championship game, and we won it, but now the real AFC Championship game is here. So, you know, what are your initial thoughts on the Bengals in this game, and how you doing today?
First off, those are very touching words to start off with there, Mr.
Of course.
Michael Darcy. I appreciate you. You are one of my best friends too. So let's just all kumbaya for a second and appreciate each other, because good friends are good to have, and knowing good people is always good. But I'm doing fantastic. Looking at this Bengals game, honestly, after the game that we came off of seeing last week with the Chiefs playing the Bills, and probably, I would say, the most epic playoff game I've ever seen, I feel very confident about the Chiefs' chances here on Sunday. Not only am I very confident, but some might say I'm overly confident. Sometimes that's a bad thing. Sometimes that's a good thing. It just kind of depends on luckily, I don't have to be the one to play out there on Sunday. I wish I was, obviously. But
Sign us up.
Chiefs,
Sign us up.
yes, sign us up. I'll at least throw a block. I can go down on kickoff still. I still got a little weight behind me and a little speed to me, but no, I'm excited. The Cincinnati Bengals, to me, yeah, okay, week 17, they gave the Chiefs an issue. But it was one of those fluke issues where two players, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, had career days on offense. In a game where the Chiefs still almost won. It kind of came down to an odd 2-minute, 4-minute situational football where there was probably some bad mishandling on Andy Reid's part or the defense's part, and the Cincinnati Bengals were able to capitalize properly. But to me, that was a fluke win in a game where two people had to break records for themselves just to get the win. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase having 11 catches from 260. I believe it was 266.
Yeah, and 3 touchdowns.
That is a non-repeatable number. Only people like Calvin Johnson and Julio Jones repeat those kind of numbers. Jamar Chase ain't doing that on Sunday. Joe Burrow ain't doing that on Sunday. An offensive line that gives up as many sacks as they do ain't doing that on Sunday. So I feel pretty good.
I do too, and honestly, I don't want to say that I'm overlooking the Bengals, but, you know, me and you both sat in the 810 studios, which is where I'm at right now, and we said the Bills was going to be the AFC Championship game in a sense. Like, if you could win that game, you were probably going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And my thoughts haven't changed. You know, I watched the Titans and Bengals game, and it came down to a game-winning field goal, and Joe Burrow in that game got sacked 9 times. If he comes into Arrowhead and gets sacked 9 times, they might lose by 35. Like, they legitimately could get obliterated if he gets sacked that many times. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm confident about this game. The Bengals' offensive line is trash. I mean, I think that they've got the guy of the future in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, some great complementary weapons in T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, but their defense doesn't scare me. We moved the ball against their defense in the first game, which was less than a month ago, fairly easily. You only had like 3 drives in the second half, and you weren't able to do anything really then. But in the first half, you dropped 28 points. So it's not like this Bengals defense is a bunch of world beaters and that we should be scared of them. That's just not the case. And I think that, you know, you're going to get Tyrann Mathieu back in this game most likely. He was back at practice on Thursday. I think right now everything is coming together, and I really do believe the Chiefs are going to come into this game with that laser focus, and they're going to win this game. Like, the Bengals, they had a great season. They've accomplished a lot of things, but at the end of the day, no one really expected them to get here. And right now, this is just business per usual for the Chiefs. Like, they've been in this game for the past 4 years, and they've hosted this game for the past 4 years at home. So I think when it comes down to it, experience is going to play a pretty big factor in this game. But I can't really see us losing to the Bengals. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, unless there's an absolute, a complete and utter breakdown on the defensive side of the ball, I don't see how the Bengals can pull out a win in this. All hats off to the Bengals. They are putting together something over there that I think is going to be one of the top-tier teams, if not the top-tier team in the AFC North going forward, and maybe even one of the top teams in the AFC going forward. I love Joe Burrow.
I do too.
Wrong.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer. I love his attitude. Some people call it cocky. I call it confident, and the man exudes moxie.
He's a winner, too. Like, when you look at it, he took over a Bengals franchise that had the first overall pick in the draft, and right now, like 2 or 3 years later, they're in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that when he steps on the field and he wants to do something, most of the time he's going to do it. Jamar Chase, the LSU connection, both these men won a national title at LSU in college. Now they get drafted to the same team back-to-back years. Jamar Chase is an absolute, and I know I've said this many a time, he's an alien. He's not from this world. He's from outer space. The guy can do almost everything. That being said, there are still major flaws within the Cincinnati Bengals team. One of the major flaws that they have is that they don't even have an indoor practice facility. Yeah. That goes to show that the organization is lacking not only on the field but off the field or on a different field. I did see a funny stat that the Bengals are the first team ever since the era in which indoor practice facilities have been created. They're the first ever team to win a playoff game not having an indoor facility since the era of indoor facilities. Is that not crazy? I mean, there's stadiums parked right next to a highway, and it's cold in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cold here in Kansas City. I can't imagine how cold it feels up north. And the fact that they're able to win without some of the amenities that these organizations should be providing goes to show you. Now, I'll tell you what, they don't win this year, I promise you that they're going to start building an indoor facility very soon because they better. Because that's just tragic that you don't have one. That being said, Joe Burrow, I love the guy. I love the way he plays. I love his attitude. That's my kind of football player. Somebody who's down for the count, nitty-gritty, back against the wall, and he knows what he has to do. That being said, he's playing the greatest quarterback in the NFL.
Amen. Say it again, Blake. Say it again.
That being said, he's playing the greatest quarterback in the NFL, the National Football League. His name is Patrick Mahomes. Okay.
I thought you were going to break out into like an Ochai Abaji thing right there.
Wasn't going to do the Ochai Abaji, boys. That's for a different show. But it's just, if the Chiefs are firing on all cylinders, which they should be, they've been rolling. If the Chiefs come in and play defense the way they should be, Melvin Ingram looking good, Frank Clark looking good, Tyrann Mathieu back is going to be a huge, huge advantage for the Chiefs defense because they just played the Bills team the entire game essentially besides the first drive without Tyrann Mathieu. That's going to be a massive, massive help to the Chiefs defense when you have your captain back. So to me, the Chiefs should handle this game pretty well. It's going to be, it's been a great run for the Bengals. Good for them. They outlasted the Ravens. They outlasted the Steelers. The Steelers snuck in there somehow. And the Browns, they're falling apart at the seams. The Steelers just released Chase Claypool the other day.
Did they actually?
They released Chase Claypool because he was getting in fights with his teammates for not wanting to join in on his TikToks.
Dude, what you just said right there, I had absolutely no clue this happened, like at all.
Let me just double check myself here real quick.
Joey, our producer Joey sitting in here. Did Chase Claypool get released by the Steelers? I had not heard of that at all. Blake, I think you're pulling this out of your ass. I'm not gonna lie.
Am I getting fake news here?
Don't disrespect the fake news clause, please.
Am I getting?
He didn't get. Dude, you got Barry McCognard. I don't know if he got Barry McCognard, but it sounds like it. I don't know where you got that. Like, dude, when you said that, my face went completely white. And
I am so sorry.
I don't know where you got that, but
if I got fake news here, I gotta go back. But I could have sworn I thought, or maybe he just got punished for.
I was going to say,
I don't
if
know.
this actually did happen, I feel like we would have heard about it by now. But, you mentioned it, trying to get somewhat back on track here because you just threw us for a loop. But I bet the Browns are sitting on their couch right now and just furious because Joe Burrow is doing in his first year starting what they couldn't do with a stacked team and Baker Mayfield. It really kind of makes them question whether or not they have the right guy. And that's a topic for a different video. But I think that in this game, something that you mentioned with the outdoor practice facility, they were pumping in crowd noise, which I thought was a little odd. But I don't care how much crowd noise that you pump into that place. Nothing can replicate Arrowhead. Arrowhead is the loudest venue I think I have ever been a part of and ever seen with my own two eyes and heard with my own two ears. And I think that in this game, because Joe Burrow was on record saying that, I played in the SEC, nothing's going to faze me. Like, I've heard loud stadiums before with 100,000 people, 70,000 people. It doesn't matter. I've done it all. I don't think Joe Burrow quite understands how loud Arrowhead can get. And when he said that, it almost like challenges the fans to be like, all right, we know what we have to do now. And this crowd in this game is going to be electric. Like, they don't even have more of a reason to get loud and obnoxious because they're playing in an AFC championship game. But with Joe Burrow saying what he said, it's just going to add fuel to the fire. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
First off, I want to apologize to you, the fans, my friends, and my family.
Don't leave Joey out of this.
For the first time ever, have been the victim of some misinformation. I could have sworn that was the case. Apparently, Chase Claypool did not get released by the Steelers.
I think he got Barry McCocknerd.
I feel like a big dummy right now. But you know what? It happens to the best of them. I'm sure it's happened to Ian Rappaport once or twice. So, please forgive me for that. That being said,
really quickly, let me interject. This show doesn't have any credibility for being correct. I'm just going to say that right now. You got me on here, so. Anyway, continue with your point.
I wanted to say that the Arrowhead Stadium, I was actually at the game where the Chiefs rebroke the record after taking it from the cheating Seahawks, who have a half dome. And I don't know how you can be called one of the loudest stadiums in the world when you have a half dome to help you amplify sound. But I was at the game in which the Chiefs broke the all-time record for the loudest stadium in the NFL, recapturing the glory that they had. And it was deafening. I lost my voice. I couldn't hear my mother or father who were standing next to me trying to talk to me. I continuously was sitting there going, what? So I saw the videos of the Cincinnati Bengals pumping in crowd sound into their stadium while they're practicing. That's a good tactic. It really is. It's to get the team used to the crowd noise, because I promise you on Sunday, that stadium is going to be rocking. And it's going to be loud, ruckus noise from the amazing Chiefs kingdom and the Chiefs fans out there. So it's actually a smart tactic on Cincinnati's part, just so they get a little bit of preparation. But preparation is still not going to be enough for actual game time noise. It's going to be loud, and it's going to cause problems. I think it used to cause a lot more problems to teams before offenses became so advanced.
That's very true, because now they don't even have to talk. They can use just hand signals.
Exactly. Hand signals and silent counts have become very important for a lot of NFL teams. That being said, it's still going to be in effect. It's still going to cause players to have issues. So for Joe Burrow to say that, I love it. Good for him. He's trying to say it's not going to be an issue for our team, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. It's going to be loud. I actually was speaking to Derek Gore the other day, believe it or not. And
I love that name drop really quickly. I was just talking to one of our best running backs this year. Yeah.
Former teammate of mine, Derek Gore. And he said that in one of the final games of the season, the stadium could have been louder. And I think that, maybe he kind of willed he manifested the sound, because the last three games, the stadium, from what I've heard, I have not been there, but I do have good inside sources that the stadium has been as loud as they've ever heard it. So I'd love to see if the Guinness Book of World Records people would be there for the Cincinnati Bengals game. They should have been there for the Bills game, because that game, I'm sure, broke the record.
Oh, my gosh. That overtime touchdown, I don't know if you could hear yourself think when that play happened.
or the play when Tyreek caught that over the middle route.
Oh, yeah.
And then took off. You can hear the crowd level change in that clip from the TV. So I can only imagine how loud it was in actual game time.
Oh, yeah, and I think Bengals fans are just like, oh, yeah, we know Arrowhead's loud. It doesn't really matter. I don't think they really understand like how much noise can have a factor on a game. And Joe Burrow, he's going to be under enough pressure all game long already. His offensive line's not exactly going to hold up. And I think that the keys to this game is to get pressure on Joe Burrow, obviously. They're going to find a way to blitz him. That's kind of Spag's calling card. Now, I would refrain from the 3rd and 27 blitzes. I think that would probably be a good idea. But I think that if you can find a way to get steady pressure on Joe Burrow with your front four, not necessarily even blitzing, but if you can just find a way to get pressure, you're going to win this game. Joe Burrow cannot get sacked 9 times, and they're not gonna have any chance to win this game. It just would not be a possible outcome. So I think you got to get pressure on Joe Burrow. I think you got to double Jamar Chase. You know, I think that T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are capable of blowing a game wide open because we saw Gabriel Davis go for 4 TDs and 200-plus receiving yards last week. But I think the mindset has to be make the secondary weapons beat us. And I was talking with a Bengals fan last night. Shout out to Ace Boogie. Go check him out at New Stripe City on YouTube. He was talking about how he didn't want to see Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill beat the Bengals. Make Mecole Hardman do it. Make Jerick McKinnon and Byron Pringle do it. And I think that obviously that's much easier said than done, but I think the same mindset should be for the Chiefs. Don't let Jamar Chase go for 11, 260, and 3 touchdowns again. Because if that happens, you know, you still can win because it took a lot of unfortunate events to transpire in that Week 17 game for the Bengals to win it. But it's not going to help your case. So I think that you got to double Jamar, and I think the final key's just got to be consistent on offense. Like I think that in that last game, we saw Patrick Mahomes go from 3rd gear into like 5th gear. Like we saw him go into a gear that I've never seen before. And I think right now he's playing so well on offense, and the offense entirely is as well. I just think that they're going to be so consistent, and if the Bengals don't put up 30 points in this game, they will not win. They have no chance to win this game if their offense cannot put up 30. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But, you know, Blake, what are your keys to this game?
Well, I think you're 100% right in that aspect, and here's a kind of a crazy stat for you. The Kansas City Chiefs have scored 42 points in last week's game. And the week before that, they scored 42 points. They replicated their same scoring in back-to-back games versus the Steelers and the Bills. And that, I feel like, has not been talked about on any program enough. So,
really quickly. The Bills were the number 1 scoring defense. Just throwing that out there.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently they can't score more than 42 points, though. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day. That stat alone is mind-boggling. You're averaging 42 points in a playoff this year by the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, well, let's take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They've played a subpar defense in the Las Vegas Raiders. They also played a horrific defense in the Tennessee Titans. In those games, they scored 26 points versus the Raiders and 19 points versus the Titans. They have yet to eclipse the total of 4 touchdowns in either game. So you have a team who's averaging 6 touchdowns, and you have a team that hasn't even gotten 4 touchdowns average. Who do you really think is going to win that matchup? I mean, they can't even get over 30 points, and the Chiefs are averaging 12 more than 30. It's insane.
Quick math right there from Schneiders.
It's a quick math. I'm usually not very good at it, but apparently on
Me
the fly.
either. I get paid to talk, not think.
I can pull it out of my butt. So, and again, these are 2 teams whose offenses, the Las Vegas Raiders, they gave up 19 points to the Raiders, so pretty good job on their defense. But the Raiders have pretty much Darren Waller, who was banged up towards the end of the year, and Hunter Renfrow. That's about it. Josh Jacobs has been kind of up and down all year. Tennessee Titans, who did have a hindered Derrick Henry back and then a healthy A.J. Brown, still only scored 16 points. So they've done a good job of holding their opponents to less points. But those are also not very great offensive teams, in my opinion. Yeah. The Vegas Raiders are obviously better than the Tennessee Titans on offense, but They had banged-up superstars going into the playoffs. Darren Waller did play the week before, but still, so their defense did play pretty well. But you said that they had given up 9 sacks in the last game. The Cincinnati Bengals this year have given up a total of 55 sacks.
Do we even have 55 sacks on defense?
The Chiefs this year have 31 sacks. So their sack total is actually not great.
Yeah, not very good.
But a lot of those sacks came in the later half of the year. Because in the beginning of the year, they were one of the absolute worst defenses in the league. I believe they were 28, 29, and 31 in multiple different categories. Then they turned it around to be top 5 in almost every category. So the Chiefs have also only given up 28 sacks all year. So they've given up 27 less sacks than the Cincinnati Bengals. You tell me, when the game's on the line, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and Melvin Ingram are breathing down your neck, you think Joe Burrow is going to be able to get the ball off in a competent enough time to get the ball to Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins? Maybe, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, most football games, whether you want to admit it or not, are won in the trenches. Whose offensive line is better? Whose defensive line is better? And right now, I don't think the Bengals have the advantage on either side of the ball. And I think you can look at coaching. Obviously, the Chiefs have an advantage at coaching over Zach Taylor and the Bengals, who he's done a pretty good job this year, but he's not Andy Reid. And, something that I want to point out, you were talking about, they beat the Raiders, they beat the Titans. The quarterbacks in those games were Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill. There's a pretty big jump from Derek Carr to Patrick Mahomes. I don't think the Bengals are going to know what hits them on Sunday. I think it could get really ugly very quickly if the Bengals just come into this game thinking, we can do exactly what we did against Patrick Mahomes in the first matchup. Because if they do that, Mahomes might drop 45 points.
Yeah, I think, and just to play devil's advocate, I think some people could look at the Chiefs and go, well, look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They played a decrepit Frankenstein of Ben Roethlisberger in the first round.
That's true. That's true.
You're right. We did. But then who did they play? They played Josh Allen. In my opinion, the second best quarterback in the league this year. You can say what you want about stats, but I'm looking at moxie. I'm looking at game time, game on the line. Josh Allen, to me, it goes Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and then you can toss it up for Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers after that. But honestly, looking at Aaron Rodgers' performance in the playoffs this year, I don't know what the hell happened there.
Yeah. Well, and the Bills, there was a very good argument for them being the best team in the playoffs. Like, they had all the talent. So
they had all the talent and the stats to back it up.
Yeah. So
I would say that their record is a little padded because they had to play the, couple teams they played this year were not very good, and they lost to some not very good teams. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they put on the best performance I've seen in the playoffs besides the Chiefs.
Yeah, that Patriots game, like I said, 20 years of frustration out on the New England Patriots. That's what happened in that game, and I think
I loved it.
I did too. I hate the Patriots, but I think that after what we saw in this divisional round game, where Patrick Mahomes, like I was talking about earlier, he went into a different gear. I've never seen any quarterback go from being great to one of the greatest things of all time, just with a snap of a finger. Or fingers, I guess it's plural. I can't even believe that we won that game. We were talking about this on Tuesday and Wednesday because it still felt surreal. The fact that Chiefs were able to come out of that game with a win. And I feel like after that kind of win, in which you basically were able to surprise a lot of people and really come back to life, I don't think the Bengals can stop that team. I just don't see it. The Bengals are a team that could win this game. I'm not saying that they can't. But right now, I don't know who would ever bet against Patrick Mahomes normally, but right now he's playing some of the best football of his career. Literally, did you see that ESPN stat that the Chiefs, when they have a 5% chance to win the game, are 3-1 with Patrick Mahomes?
No, I did not.
Everyone else is 1 in 20. Can you give me the stat, Joseph? He's got to find it really quickly. The joys of having a producer. But the stat's insane. It was an ESPN stat. And when the game, you have it?
Yeah, so we are 3-1 when our in-game probability dips below 5%. The rest of the NFL is 1 in 38 in the last 3 years.
So We are 3-1. We have a 5% chance to win the game, and you said the other ones was 1-38 in the last, 2-3 years? Since 2018. I don't know why the hell you would bet against Patrick Mahomes. It makes no sense, and that statistic is one of the craziest things I've ever heard, and it's just another reason why the Chiefs are never out of any football game.
I don't know if you saw the stat the other day, Michael. I believe it was the real. I don't know if it was Get Up, Good Morning Football, or what it was. I believe it was Mike Robb. So I think it was Good Morning Football or Get Up. But they had basically added a bunch of categories, and they were choosing who was better at that category between Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. As far as some of the categories go, they gave 3 over to Patrick Mahomes. I believe it was in skill set, clutchness, and I want to say arm strength. But the 2 categories that they gave to Joe were swagger, which is a category that they just threw in there because they needed to.
That's like the most meaningless thing of all time. Oh, he's got more swag than Mahomes. Okay, cool.
Got more swag. Okay, well, I don't know if you've ever seen Patrick Mahomes swag. It's pretty swaggy.
Does swag win games?
Then they said accuracy, and they gave it to Joe Burrow. And I about lost my mind. You think Joe Burrow is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes when it mattered? The man almost threw a touchdown because his receiver wasn't able to catch the ball because it hit him right in the hand. Probably the worst place to throw the ball to a receiver is right in his hand, usually.
God forbid.
Threw that ball with none of his feet on the ground in the Super Bowl last year, parallel to the turf.
Hit him in the face.
Hit him directly in the face, and the man dropped it while he had none of his body parts on the ground, and he was John Wick shooting through the air. I mean, he was Neo-type Matrix to Keanu Reeves, by the way.
You're gonna hate this. You're going to hate this, but I didn't get the reference.
Oh, you've never seen John Wick?
I haven't, actually.
You've never seen
We have like a running joke between me and Blake because he's significantly older than I, so he'll throw out references that I just won't get, and part of it's because not the brightest guy, but
I'm not significantly older. You're significantly young.
That's Blake's not like 75 years old, even though it's sometimes.
I'm only 27, freshly turned in December.
I know. Looking happy late birthday.
Yeah. Whatever, best friend.
We're still working on it, guys. This relationship has to improve every single day.
But yeah, so I just thought it was so funny. They had to pick and choose. I mean, this was a stat or a segment that some producer or one of these analysts had to make up just so they could give Joe Burrow some love in one category, and the one they chose was probably the least likely. Patrick Mahomes is way more accurate. Patrick Mahomes, I believe, has more swagger. Now, I said moxie earlier about Joe Burrow. He does. He has all the moxie in the world.
We can give that one to him.
I'm cool with giving that to him however you want, because I could see it being a toss-up. Both guys have a lot of confidence. That's what that word comes down to. The swag and the moxie is really just how confident are you. Honestly, I'd say it's a tie.
That's fair. Really quickly, I want to bring up, you think that these ESPN guys are just sitting in a boardroom and just like, damn, we got to come up with something interesting. And some guy's just like, do I really have to be the guy that says this? And they're just like, yep. They draw straws and he just picks the short one. Like I don't
really
get it. It doesn't make sense.
I really do think so. I think they sit around and they have to drive ratings. So the ratings, just like what Skip Bayless does and just like what Stephen A. Smith does, is they choose outlandish topics that aren't true. But then that makes you want to hate watch their show because you want to watch it just so you can hate it.
That's like the saying, like ratings or good publicity, or any publicity is good publicity, now
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is a good publicity stunt, but we can contest to this firsthand. If we're paying guys to be wrong, we could lead that movement. We could literally be the new movement of people who are wrong. Like if they're paying people to do that, I have no problem being wrong. Most of the time I am wrong, but I can't even believe that we're just making up fake statistics as if, yeah, Joe Burrow, he's got that swagger, so he's going to win the AFC Championship game on the road in cold weather. Which actually, that might not be a problem, but
yeah, I was gonna say everybody's got cold weather, and that's gonna be one thing that I think doesn't play a big factor in the game. Josh Allen playing in cold weather. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow playing in cold weather. So that's actually something that the Chiefs normally have the advantage of, unless they're playing the Patriots in the AFC Championship 3-4 years ago. But that's something that the Chiefs normally do have the advantage of, that they're not going to have that advantage. It's going to be kind of null and void.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even argue probably Cincinnati's colder at this time of year. Kansas City's actually pretty nice right now.
Kansas City's, it was nice today.
Yeah.
The last 2 days, it was frigid.
Yeah, it was. But, you were mentioning how, the Bengals are practicing outside. Is it cold? Yeah. Is it inconvenient? Yeah, but maybe that's a good thing. Like, maybe they're almost like conditioning themselves in a sense. Obviously, it's probably
That's
better.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to practice inside most likely, but if they win this game and it's because they were practicing outside with the crowd noise pumped in and they got used to the elements, I think we got to give a lot of credit to their coaching staff or whoever's in charge of that, because it clearly worked. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think that the Chiefs are going to come out in this game and handle their business. This is just another business meeting for the Chiefs. They've done this. They have a chance to go to their third straight Super Bowl. This game does not scare them. They're not scared of the Bengals. They're just an obstacle, like the Steelers were an obstacle. The Bengals are just a thing in the road that they have to either run through or go over. And I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, and I think that we're going to have to hear all of these analysts say, the Chiefs lucked into a Super Bowl. They went all the way back after, they had to face some of the competition, but they were all at home. The media is going to make up things to say, but I think Sunday is when the Chiefs are going to come out and just put that all to bed, and they're going to win the AFC for the third year in a row.
I do think it's funny that the Chiefs fans and a lot of the analysts were, maybe not the analysts per se, but a lot of the Chiefs fans were bummed when the Tennessee Titans did not lose at the end of the year, and the Chiefs didn't get essentially home field advantage by being the number 1 seed. Well, turns out the Chiefs did get home field advantage by the crazy things that happened in Indianapolis with the Colts, and then getting the Steelers to come to Arrowhead, and then just how the rest of the playoffs kind of played out. So they still ended up getting home field advantage, which is crazy when you really think about how everything kind of panned out at the end. But that, all of that has led to, and behind the amazing crowd at Arrowhead, because Arrowhead has been on fire the past couple of games. I will say there were some times during the year where and maybe I'm biased because I've been to the loudest game in Arrowhead history. I've been going to Arrowhead since I was a young kid back in early 2000s, and I've seen teams crumble under the pressure. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Brett Favre, Phillip Rivers having to call timeout after timeout because they can't even articulate the plays of the rest of their team. That's, again, kind of faded away with how good these offenses are becoming and evolving with the NFL and its new kind of style of play. But they're still extremely loud, and that's not only intimidating, but it still does cause communication issues, sometimes even for your own team, which is a detriment. But, hey, I'd rather have teams that can perform under pressure, perform under the sound, under the lights, than a team that is going to fold under that. So, I don't see a whole lot of hope for the Cincinnati Bengals. All the credit to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but the Kansas City Chiefs, as long as they play flawless football, and I don't mean they got to go out there and do anything incredible. I don't even think that, pretty much Patrick Mahomes put the team on his back the last game. I don't believe that that's going to be the same. I don't think he's going to need to do all the extra. I probably don't see him rushing for 69 yards this game in a touchdown. But I do think that as long as you get the running game going, you get the running game just nice and hashed out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire looked pretty damn good. He looked
arguably the best game I've seen from him in a Chiefs uniform. Like his big knock has been, I can't get the big plays. He did in that game. I think that a lot of it was because Mahomes was killing them with his feet, and then he started to kill him with his arm, and then Clyde was left in an opportunity where the safeties were deep, and they could just run the ball.
Exactly. I think Clyde's vision looked fantastic, and he's always had very good vision, but his explosiveness also kind of finally peaked out. It looked like he was explosive. Jerick McKinnon, the guy who didn't even get used most of the year, and maybe that was a schematic thing, maybe that was just because the Chiefs coaching staff didn't quite trust him with a heavy load, has come on in the playoffs and put up really Damian Williams-type numbers and Damian Williams-type performances from 2 years ago for the Kansas City Chiefs. They haven't even used my man Derek Gore in the playoffs, which is really kind of hard to believe. But I love it. When you still know you have a three-headed dragon or even essentially a four-headed dragon, and Darrell Williams can come back off his toe injury, which I'm assuming he will do, when you can run the ball in the playoffs, and then, oh, by the way, you have one of the greatest tight ends, if not the top two greatest tight ends, and some would argue even the greatest tight end ever to live in the game, and you have Tyreek Hill, one of the greatest wide receivers to ever grace the field. Oh, and you have Patrick Mahomes. I just don't see any scenario. You could play this game 99 times or 100 times, and I think the Chiefs might win 100 times. It's one of those games that the last game we saw was the playoffs. The last game we saw was really the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm not going to get that ahead of myself yet. Like, I think that...
No, I mean, as far as the level of talent, I think the two best teams left in the playoffs played last week.
I would agree with that. I think that the Bills and the Chiefs are the two hottest teams in the playoffs, and you beat the Bills. So now you are the hottest team and probably the best team left in the playoffs. And, you know, I could see the Bengals winning this game, but the Chiefs would have to choke this game away in one of the worst ways possible. Like we saw, they would need a lot of officiating. They would need a lot of Joe Burrow downfield passes to Jamar or somebody downfield and a lot of pass interference. I can't see the Bengals coming into Arrowhead, into this environment against this team and beating them. I could be utterly wrong, and we'll find out on Sunday. But again,
well, you look at the experience level. This is Joe Burrow's first time ever playing an AFC Championship game. This is Patrick Mahomes' fourth straight year in a row.
You want to hear something actually that I just thought of right as you said that? Patrick Mahomes has been to more AFC Championship games than years Joe Burrow has played in the NFL.
Exactly.
Let that sink in.
Well, I mean, a stat like that, when you talk about who's got the most moxie, well, with confidence comes experience. Or with experience comes confidence. Let me flip that back around. Who's got more experience? Patrick Mahomes. So who's going to have more confidence? Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think the Bengals, the run was cool. Like it kind of reminds me of like the 2019 Titans, where they were able to go on the road and beat New England. Then they went into Baltimore, they beat the Ravens, and you had the fair share of analysts saying, "Oh, Derrick Henry was going to kill the Chiefs, and he was going to put the Titans on his back and take them to a Super Bowl." And we saw the Chiefs defense clamp up and hold them to 69 yards. And I think that, you know, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are kind of the new Derrick Henry. Everyone's saying that they're unstoppable. I mean, Joe Burrow's been on a phenomenal run. Jamar Chase has had one of the best rookie seasons that we've seen in a long time. But at the end of the day, we saw what happened in 2019. And I don't think anything is going to change this year because the Chiefs defense is probably better. The Chiefs offense is arguably better. I do not think that the Bengals...
I don't think they're arguably better.
You think they are better?
There's an argument there. I think they are better across the board, hands down.
They might be the hottest we've ever seen them right now because they've dropped 42 points in the past two playoff games. So, yeah, I would say that right now they are the best offense that we've seen. I was just kind of referring to, like, at one point they couldn't really score more than 20 points, but that's kind of here and there. Like, that's already happened. I do not think that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and the entire Bengals team, because it's not just those two guys, I don't think that the Bengals can come to Arrowhead in arguably the biggest game and beat the Chiefs. Chiefs don't lose to guys not named Tom Brady with Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to be the exception, especially because Josh Allen was playing some of the best football that we've seen in a long time. And Joe Burrow, he's good, but he wasn't playing at a level like Josh Allen was. And that's just another reason why I'm not that confident in the Bengals beating the Chiefs.
At the end of the day, this is the last thing I'll say. Patrick Mahomes is great. There is really no argument about that statement. He is great. Joe Burrow is very good.
Mm-hmm. There's
He
a
has
difference.
to still prove that he is great or can be great. One man is already great. The other man still has to prove that he can be great. And I'm going to take the man who's already proven it every time.
Yeah, and I said this on Twitter before the Bills game. Josh Allen is good, but Patrick Mahomes is great, and there is a difference. We saw the difference in that game. Joe Burrow is not anywhere near the level of Patrick Mahomes right now. Right now, I think Joe Burrow is awesome. I think
I wouldn't even say he's near the level of Josh Allen.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I think Joe Burrow is a really good young quarterback. They would not be in the position that they're in right now without Joe Burrow. But Patrick Mahomes is arguably playing football that we've never seen anyone in the history of the NFL do. Again, with 13 seconds left in that Bills game in the divisional round, it took him 2 plays to get into field goal range and tie this game. And that's something that no other quarterback, I would argue, in NFL history could do. I really don't think that anyone else could do what Patrick Mahomes did in that moment. He's the Showtime. He's the Grim Reaper. I don't think. Little chuckle there in the background. We're going to have to talk about that in a separate video. But I can't see the Bengals winning this game.
No, 100% agree. All right, final predictions.
I was about to say, I was going to have to ask you that. What are your predictions for this game?
My prediction for the game, I think the Chiefs I think they hit their average. I think the Chiefs score 42 points at the minimum in this game. I think the Bengals, I think they do go above and beyond. I think they're pulling out all the stops in this game because this will essentially be their Super Bowl. So I believe it's going to be 42 to 31. I do think they're going to get some garbage time points possibly. I do think that they have a very good kicker in McPherson, a rookie this year.
Shout out McPherson.
Hey, he's been very good this year, and I love his confidence. I mean, he got up off the bench the other day and said, "Well, boys," in that previous game, and he said, "Well, boys, looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game," and he went out there and hit the game-winning kick. So I think it's going to be 31-42 Chiefs.
I like it. I think this is going to be a game that the Chiefs come out right away. They're not going to mess around. They're going to handle the Bengals. I think that this game is going to be somewhat close. I could see the Bengals catching up, kind of like they did in that first game. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I'm going to say 38-28. And the reason that I had them winning by 10, I think the spread is 7.5, or maybe it's 7.5. I think the Chiefs will cover. Yes. The Chiefs will cover in this game. And I think that they are going to get a lead and just play to milk the clock and prevent defense just to keep that game. And I think they're going to be able to go back to yet another Super Bowl. So give me Chiefs 38, Bengals 28, and the Chiefs are going to their 3rd straight Super Bowl. So Blake, it was a privilege and an honor to have you on tonight. Where can the people find you?
People can find me on the Twitter sphere, Wake, capital N Blake 29. That's Wake and Blake 29 on Twitter. You can find me there, and that's pretty much where I will be live covering the sports. I don't know how much I will be covering this upcoming Sunday. I'll be definitely tweeting out, but probably I'm also going to be celebrating pretty heavily. So
yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. There will be no post game with Schneeds. He's going to be hammered either way. If we win or lose, he's going to be hammered.
Determined. You know me. I'm always akin to jumping on.
Yes.
In any given moment.
Honestly,
but
I would
it's
be
going to have to be flushed out between you and I.
I would not mind having on drunk Schneeders. I think that'd be a good. Honestly, I think that'd be hilarious. But
I'm sure your fans have seen me maybe on with a beverage or two before. I believe last time that it was maybe a little extra tilt 3 sheets to the wind was when I was in Great Bend, Indiana for the Navy Notre Dame game, and we did a StreamYard together.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that. I think I did remember that. Anyway, you guys can find me on Instagram. That is KC_Sports Report. And Twitter is @KC Sports Report. I want to give a shout out to my friend Joseph, the producer tonight, who actually isn't producing this show at all. He's just sitting here. But I want to give him a shout out regardless. And with that being said, guys, we will see you in another video probably on Saturday. But if we don't, we will be here to recap, hopefully, the Chiefs win over the Bengals in the 2022 AFC Championship game. Until next time, guys, have a great rest of your day.